Hi, so this is my self-interview for the Global Imagination Scholarship. And, first off, I just wanted to say how thankful I am to be studying at CMC and the Isaacson School for photography with Joseph and Derek and Klaus and my classmates. Yeah, it's just been great experience. Also been involved with the theater, which has been also amazing. I was kind of in a bad place before I got to CMC, and it's just really turned my life around. Helped me mentally, we could say. Um, so yeah, my future. I usually am batting about different fantasies for my future or ideas. So there's usually not just one vision. So I'm going to outline three of those visions for you. The first one would be this vision I've had for a while, which would be not just traveling around, taking pictures, but traveling around and documenting. First off, community gardens. I wrote my master's thesis on community gardens and their ability to recuperate urban space. And I find them to be very important in that context as far as like giving public ownership over of their space, of their public space, and purpose for using it. So I find them very important for cities. I always have, as far as their resiliency. And as far as kind of a next step to that thesis I wrote would be, documentation of the community garden worldwide. How do people approach it? What are the various designs that go into it? What are the sizes? How productive are they? How many people can they support? Are they economically viable? And having great pictures and diagrams of them would be important. That's how I'd use kind of my education. So I think that could be a great publication, and a great reason to travel around. I'd really love to be a travel photographer, but I do have trouble when I see people just traveling around, making a living and taking pictures for travel's sake. I Most of the traveling I've done has had a purpose, either an educational purpose or a work purpose. I prefer to embed myself in the culture, stay a little longer. And I'd like to do that this time. I don't know how many countries I could go to and actually get this done within a reasonable amount of time. The other kind of key or a piece to that publication, or maybe it's another publication, would be documenting biodynamic farms around the world and how people are farming. I think that'd be a much more photographically driven book. I wouldn't have to do so much diagramming with those, but giving people a sense of how people are approaching that discipline, this sort of spiritual agriculture. Kind of goes beyond organic farming. And my mom's an organic farmer. She's about 4 miles to the west of here, or east of here, sorry. Um, and even though I don't practice with her all the time, I can see the importance of the discipline and how if you did combine biodynamic farming with community gardens, you could really it could be a powerful combination within a urban setting, which urban settings are probably one of the most degraded places on the planet, aside from mines and whatnot. But yeah, so that's kind of one idea I think about when I leave, as a possibility when I leave CMC. It's probably the biggest risk. future. Kind of putting all your chips in, getting on the plane, seeing how far you can make it, and how many you can document without going completely broke, and seeing if it's an actual sellable book. That's kind of a big adventure. I'm not foreign to big adventures, but those kinds of futures are a little scary. There'd be some things that need to work out, but I think it would be kind of the biggest one I think about. Another one I think about, it's relatively simple. Is just, I look at the Roaring Fork, and there's all these photography students, and there's a number of photographers, and I think about having just kind of a camera store that does high-end printing, and it's also a darkroom services. I haven't really talked to Derek or Joseph Klaus about it, but it could work. I think certainly film photography is making a big comeback, and there's just not a whole there's nowhere in the Roaring Fork that I know of where you could pick up some gear, you can drop off your film, you can get your digital prints printed up, certainly after hours at CMC. So yeah, that's kind of an opportunity I've seen when I look at the Roaring Fork that could make it. Probably would need some gallery space attached to it, I'm guessing. And then the last one is, I've been in school a lot as a adult, and I keep coming back to school. And this last time, it was just so great to be back in school and be really stimulated mentally, that I just said, well, how can I just be in school forever? And that answer is pretty obvious. You become a professor. So I've been thinking about how it would work out if I went on to get my MFA, where I could do it, and just seeing if I'd really like to talk to the professors at CMC and see how they like it. But that's something that I've thought about too, is just being a professor when I'm done, just continuing the journey in scholastics, I guess. So yeah, those are my visions for the future. I think they all have their advantages and disadvantages, and I certainly hope one of them comes to fruition, and this scholarship would help me on my way to that. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all today, and thanks for listening.